feed podcast you listen. Back for wrestling with I didn't know they had lyrics to this song. With my co-host, MC Brown. Before they get talking wrestling, as soon as we bring him on, he starts telling us everything about wrestling. MC, you there?
Yes, hello, Coach Shizzy. How is it?
And of course, it wouldn't be wrestling without our frequent special guest, the champion, I'm understanding, correct? The Ramrock.
Thank you guys for having me as always. Looking forward to discussing WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2.
Night 1 and 2. 2 days of wrestling. Who thought it could be true? Who thought that this day would come? Here we talk about the world pandemics and everything happening, and then, like a bright light out of the sky, comes every wrestling fan's enjoyment, a whole weekend of WWE wrestling.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Hall of Fame, NXT, everything all rolled into one smorgasbord of wrestling excitement.
Everything. NXT, ABC, 1, 2, 3, you name it. Whatever Vince has got his hand on the pulse, wrestling is taken over. Not only is it on, you could get it on pay-per-view for $59.99, on Peacock for, what'd you say, $4.99? Or you could have paid for a live event and went down there and saw it for about $900, right, Rock?
More like $9,000. I mean, by the time you buy souvenirs and plane tickets and gas and yeah, it's very expensive.
It's crazy. So let's jump into this wrestling. You guys both watched the event. I saw highlights on the good old replays on YouTube. I saw my wrestling favorite, Stone Cold, return back to the squared circle and actually wrestled the match. Is that correct?
That would be correct. He did. It was the worst kept secret of him wrestling, as they teased him being on the KO show, Kevin Owens' talk segment on WrestleMania, which ends up being the main event of WrestleMania Night 1, and it all hell breaks loose, so to speak. No pun intended.
The match absolutely did not disappoint at all. It was your typical 2000 to 2003 Steve Austin style match, and it was perfect. I absolutely loved every second of it.
So before we dive into that, so day one, I was talking to MC earlier, and I told him don't tell me too much. MC was telling me that day one was probably the best part of the weekend.
That would be correct. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Absolutely, I have to agree with that. Night 1 was definitely the better of the two nights. The Hall of Fame was really good as well. But yeah, between Night 1 and Night 2 specifically, Night 1 was definitely the more fun night.
What would make it more fun?
Yeah, the Undertaker's Hall of Fame speech was pretty epic. If you haven't caught that, that's definitely highly recommended to anybody listening. It's also on Peacock, and you could check it out on there. And he did it differently. He had kind of wireless, he had a headphone mic, and he's just kind of telling stories, walking around the ring, and pretty much he had the floor for as much time as he wanted, and it was pretty awesome.
But you want to know what I'm so disappointed in? We did not get a Scott Steiner promo during the Hall of Fame speech, man. I was really hoping he was going to say something controversial, but he didn't.
Here you go.
He played it cool.
Here you go. It's coming up.
Never say never.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? What do you inside wrestlers know? What does it mean?
So when I heard that, I honestly thought that never say never meant it was going to be The Undertaker versus Seth Rollins, but that was not the case.
That night?
That night.
No, that would have been following day, because that was.
Oh yeah. Sorry, WrestleMania Night 1. Yes, I thought that. Because the whole thing was Seth Rollins was going to have a hand-chosen opponent by Mr. McMahon to face him at WrestleMania. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, well, there it is. It's going to be The Undertaker. Because Undertaker is, WrestleMania is Undertaker's deal. But we were all in for a huge surprise. It was not The Undertaker.
Yeah, it fooled one of our listeners and a good buddy of mine, Greg, as well. He thought, even up to the point of the surprise where the lights went out and everything, he was still texting saying, Undertaker. And I was like, nope, just wait for it. Sure enough, it was the American Nightmare that ended up coming out, making his triumphant return to the WWE.
Now, I follow certain dudes on Facebook, and this is one of mine. After I saw not to jump around, but the Stone Cold Crap Stunner on Vince McMahon. And this is Mick Foley's reaction.
Stunner of all time.
Taking the Stone Cold Stunner from Stone Cold.
This is Mick Foley laughing about it.
Oh, no, not that. Oh, come on, Steve.
Oh, I Stone Cold.
Doggone it, Steve.
I missed that.
That's so ridiculous.
I think his kid recorded him laughing about it. It was probably the funniest thing I seen on WrestleMania, especially how Stone Cold Steve Austin kept trying to grab his head like he was gently trying to pull him in. And me and MC talked about this earlier, and we want to know your take, Rock. Do you think he really kicked him pretty hard in the stomach? That's what made him collapse to his knees so fast?
No, I think Vince is a near 80-year-old man, and he just doesn't have, the more you age, the harder it is to move and get your faculties. And I think he just, who knows what happened, but clearly that was the worst stunner ever. I mean, Vince's first stunner bump was probably the worst up until his very last stunner bump. And
his last, meaning we're probably never going to see him again?
I don't think we're ever going to see another stunner bump to Vince McMahon. I truly believe that was his final one. And wow, what a final one to take. I mean, I think I sent that to MC. MC sent it to me back a different angle. Every time I watch it, I laugh so hard. It was so hilarious.
Was it better than the Chris Rock slap from Will Smith?
Easily. Easily better. Oh, my God.
Another form of staged entertainment.
All right, MC, I'm sure you got to go down the lineup of the card. I'm sure you got some kind of questions to ask, so I'm done with my random questions. I will just wait to hear you two experts on the panel. MC, make sure you're close to that microphone so we can all hear you in the audience of Me Podcast. You listen, because they don't want to miss a word of this moment.
How am I sounding now? And I'll get started here. Sound okay?
Yep, sound okay.
All right. Let's go down now. First match. This is WrestleMania Saturday, night 1, so to speak. SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos defeat Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs, who suffered a major injury. How did you feel about that one, Rock?
It was very unfortunate to see, Boogs suffer the injury. Obviously, you don't ever want to see that happen in any sport, let alone wrestling. And the match was good up until that point, but truth be told, injury or not, Usos were going to win it regardless. So I'd say 2.5 out of 5 stars, 2.5, 3. Predictable.
Rick Boogs got hurt attempting to essentially pick up both Usos for would look like I don't know if he was gonna give them both a double attitude adjustment or whatnot, but unfortunately his right knee buckled and he was down pretty quickly, and then he was a non-factor at that point, and the match quickly went home, so to speak, in insider terms, and Shinsuke took the loss for the team, and very unfortunate he's going to be out for a long time. with
Yeah.
I believe it was it an ACL injury, I believe.
I believe you're right. Yeah, just definitely an unfortunate injury. You know, you could tell it was serious as soon as the trainers stormed the ring, and kudos to them. You know, WWE is definitely on top of that with the trainers and the outside staff and the doctors and whatnot. So, kudos to all of them for being there for him. But yeah, definitely an unfortunate injury, and I wish Mr. Boogs nothing but the best, and looking forward to a swift recovery, and hopefully he'll come back even stronger and better.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Well wishes for Rick Boogs and
Is his name
yes, Usos
is his
take
name
that one.
Rick Boobs?
Boogs with a G.
He says it like the name is Rick.
I keep thinking his name Rick Boobs. Rick Boobs.
I'm
Like,
sure that was done
what
intentionally.
What a terrible wrestling name. My name is Rick Boobs. Boobs.
Oh yeah.
The name is Rick.
Rick Boobies. My name is Rick Boobies.
Oh yeah.
All right, keep it
Our
going.
second match we got was Drew McIntyre defeating. Up until then, he was the undefeated version of Happy Corbin. Rock, what did you think about that one?
I'm gonna get on my soapbox here for just a second. I promise I won't carry it on too long. But I'm so pissed that Drew McIntyre kicked out of the end of days. That was probably one of the only finishers that was actually protected and nobody kicked out of, and then he just fucking killed it. Like, really pissed me off that he kicked out of that. Besides that, solid match. Weird ending. I don't understand what the point was of Drew getting the sword and cutting the ropes in half, and then they had to go and fix the ring. Like, don't really understand. I felt that was really unnecessary. Match was solid. Just really upset that now the end of days is not a protected finish anymore. It was just one of the very few protected finishes that was still around, and now it's gone.
Has anyone kicked out of the Ramrock Das Boot or F5?
So unfortunately, yes. There has been one man who's kicked out of the Blitzkrieg drop, and that man is Matt Payne. But kudos to him. He is a big, strong bastard. No one else is kicked out of it, though.
So I guess there is always a first in wrestling. And the end of days could not put away the Sinister Scotsman, the dreaded Drew McIntyre, as he was stronger than the end of days on WrestleMania Night 1.
Right. And, I mean, we all knew Drew was going to win, as he should have. That was the whole build-up, was that, the happy guy, what do they call it, the happy guys or happy days, or I don't know what their little name is.
Yeah, Madcap, to give props to Madcap, he did win the WrestleMania Battle Royal that apparently now takes place on Smackdown Friday.
That's right. Yeah. Props to Madcap Moss.
And I think he had a better match with Drew McIntyre than old Happy on WrestleMania Night 1. But, Drew had to win. I believe this is the launch point, hopefully, to feud with Roman Reigns, which, unfortunately...
That's the rumor. That's definitely the rumor.
He needs to, because you built Drew McIntyre into a huge, not just a contender, but champion. You elevate him to the top of the card. And ever since he was drafted, and we talked about this in a previous show, ever since he was drafted to SmackDown, it's like they've kept him pretty much away from Roman Reigns. And, it's done no favors to him. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. Completely agreed. And truth be told, is ever since he did have his WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 37 with no fans, and then he just basically just kind of faded out. But now it's like he's got this really strong push again. And I mean, I've talked about it on the show, and the listeners have heard me multiple times. I love Drew McIntyre. I really feel like his WrestleMania 37 was not his moment, and I want to see him get his moment. So hopefully this will lead to it, but truth be told, I don't think we're going to see Roman drop those titles anytime soon. But we can get to that later.
Dare we say ever. Longest champion of all time.
I mean, how many days was the longest reigning champion of all time? And why can't I remember his name?
Bruno
Sammartino. It was like 4,000 days or something.
Yeah.
Rick Boobs.
Yes, they're gonna. Coach JC can't stop talking about
Rick Boobs.
Rick Boobs. Oh, get well, Rick Boobs.
Yes. Yeah, I think cumulative title reign days. I think if you do count that, which is because they're not going to have Roman, in all seriousness, not going to have Roman hold it for 10 years or whatever or even 8 to surpass Backlund or whatever. They might do that. I mean, he's definitely the longest Universal, so you could say Universal, but until he crosses paths with The Rock in what will probably be an iconic, epic encounter, he is definitely not going to drop this title. We predicted it. We knew Brock's going to take his sabbatical. It was fairly obvious that Roman, we'll get to that on the night too, but yeah, hopefully Drew is up next, but yeah, unless your name is The Rock, you're probably not going to be any threat to Roman's title reign.
So again, all the listeners, Coach JC, MC, you guys are hearing it from the Ramrock directly. WrestleMania 39 main event will be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. WrestleMania 40 will be Roman Reigns versus oh my gosh, and I can't remember his name either. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, we're coming directly from The Rock here.
Moxley. WrestleMania 40 will be Roman Reigns versus Moxley. So I could honestly see Roman Reigns keeping that belt for another 2 years. But we can talk about that on a whole other podcast.
Not our podcast. You're not going to talk on our podcast.
Sorry, a different episode. We can talk.
We're going to talk about this on someone's other podcast. This podcast. You heard it from The Rock here, live. The Rock, Roman Reigns, championship. We're making these predictions today.
WrestleMania 39 is going to be in Hollywood.
Yeah.
The Rock, it makes perfect sense. That's what we're going to
It's going to be in Hollywood?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Oh, I should have different music.
Yeah, the Ramrock is going on a limb and say, finally, we will see the Great One return to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39.
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood.
Hollywood.
How do you know it's going to be in Hollywood?
They always announce the next year's WrestleMania location at WrestleMania.
And you already have this insight because you're a wrestler? And you're in on the inside. You're like, Vince McMahon, where is this going to be? And he's like, Rock, I want to tell everybody, but I'll just tell you first. So you can release it on your friend's podcast. It's going to be in Hollywood.
You heard it here first, folks.
Where we're going to have our wrestling show. Hollywood. We're going to
MC,
wrestle the Rockin' Hollywood.
What's the arena called? It's called like the Lo-Fi or the Sci-Fi Theater or something.
Yeah, they change the name with naming rights all the time. I'm not sure what it's a stadium show. Is it the same stadium that Super Bowl took place with the Rams?
I don't know.
I think so. I'm looking it up right now.
We can hear our sideline reporter right now, Rock typing. I'm looking at checking right now. My sources are saying
WrestleMania 39, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
That is the LA Rams Stadium.
There we go.
Get your tickets now. Rock?
Yeah. No kidding. It's
only $6 million
We-
for
we-
a seat at WrestleMania 39.
Gas is $7 a gallon, and WrestleMania tickets are $8,000.
Oh, are you
Buy
kidding?
that?
It's already $7 a gallon out there. It's going to be like $12 a gallon. Yeah.
We're gonna have to come in on our spaceships.
Yeah. You can pay $17 a gallon, or you can buy an electric car, says our weirdo president.
Or you can just pay $4.99 and enjoy it from the comfort of your couch at home on the Peacock.
Or $59.99. You can watch it on pay-per-view.
That too.
Can't afford Peacock. You can afford $59.99.
Get your
Hey,
pay-per-view.
listen. You know what? That's how they hook you, man. That's how they hook you. You watch wrestling. Next thing you know, you forget to cancel your subscription. You're in for like $800. You're like, damn it.
Because you have a month to cancel your subscription. So the worst thing could happen is you're paying $10 instead of $60.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were all on top of your bills, Mr. Fancy Pants.
You know how many bills that you would not have to be on top of to reach $60 of the Peacock network? Damn it, I forgot another month. Now it's another $5.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you, man. That's how they get
They
you.
do. Hulu does that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, thanks for that reminder. I need to cancel my Peacock subscription until next
Great.
year.
Till next WrestleMania.
Yep.
There goes our Peacock sponsor.
Go ahead and get on your computer right now. All of a sudden, Peacock calls. Listen, bastards. All right.
For our next match, we have The Miz and Logan Paul with his Pokemon
jeez.
card around his neck. Defeats the Mysterios, Ray and Dominick. Rock, you picked the Mysterios. How disappointed were you?
Of course, I was disappointed that I was wrong, but holy crap, did Logan Paul impress the hell out of me in that ring. Granted, he wasn't as good as Bad Bunny, but that dude did way better than I thought. Like, it always bothers me when celebrities come in the ring because I feel like they're going to make a joke out of this business that I love so much. But
Johnny Knoxville.
which night two, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But no, Logan Paul did phenomenal. I was blown away with his performance. Kudos to him. Why did they have Miz betray him? And like that was the dumbest thing in the world to me. I didn't understand that at all.
So random. Yeah.
It was so random, and it's like, I'm sorry, nobody's going to cheer for Logan Paul, you know, with all the stuff he does outside of WWE. Like, you're not going to make a baby face out of him. It made no sense. But anyways, match was solid. You know, I'll give it an easily a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Logan Paul really impressed the hell out of me in that match, and he took it seriously, did a phenomenal job.
What'd you say about his Pokemon stuff?
Yeah, he came out with like the most rare Pokemon card around his neck.
Meaning you can
When
come
you
on
have
a
so
piece
much
of it
money,
with
you
me,
don't
a
know
fraction
what to
of
do
it
with
with me. We can do it together. It's hard to see her go. You know I love Pokemon, but I think it'll do well on the platform, and we can all own it together. All right, Liquid Marketplace right now. Link here. All right, y'all.
So he sells Pokemon cards on his Twitter?
Does he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's what it looks like. And on here, he owns a piece of personal first edition Pokemon box. So, who knew?
Oh.
Yeah.
Just a little
I
tidbit.
didn't know.
I just wanted to join in. Tidbit information. Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So
Yeah,
did he
poor
wrestle?
Mysterio.
Did he wrestle well?
Real. He did. Rock was right. He held his own, which was good. And I was hoping for the Dominic turn, but apparently they're just riding this out. A lot of people have been disappointed how Dominic maybe they just don't feel like he has the charisma to pull off the turn.
With Logan Paul's performance.
They did this
Impressive suplex.
weird misturn on him.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping. I'm with you there. I was kind of hoping that we were going to see the Dominic turn or even the Rey turn, which has, I mean, in the entire years of watching Rey Mysterio, has he ever been a heel? I don't think he ever has. But I was waiting for it too. It didn't happen, but Logan Paul was still awesome out
Yeah, I would definitely say, weird punctuation marks in the match aside. I think it was the right move. The Miz, I think, very, very rarely has pulled out WrestleMania wins. I think looking at the win counter, which WWE does, they gave him his WrestleMania win, probably a much needed win at Mania for the Miz, but it was at the cost of Mysterio's, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. They're not going to get any traction on their storyline until one of them turns on each other. But I just can't see Ray ever being a heel, and Dominic probably too at this point needs that killer instinct. So if they can channel some storyline, and they were starting to tease it before with Dominic kind of getting frustrated with his dad, but until they actually do something of that sort, I think they're just going to keep losing, unfortunately.
MC, how do you feel about watching Dominic in the ring?
I definitely feel he's improved. He's got a weird lanky physique that he hasn't filled out into. I just think he's missing that certain factor, and I don't know. They're starting to kind of bring back the mouthpieces managers. I mean, if a certain Pierre Eval, so to speak, let's just hypothetically, if there was a friend of the show, Pierre, was to manage him, I think he really needs an aggressive mouthpiece, and maybe he dons a mask if maybe his facial expressions can't show that mean streak. Maybe he does that for a while, and then I don't know. He kind of needs to pick it up, and if he can channel that killer instinct, I think that's what he's really missing. Because at this point, he feels like kind of a stale, timid babyface at this point.
Yeah, I agree, because there's just something lacking in his character and his presence overall in the ring. I mean, his moves are good. He's solid out there, but I'm not drawn to him. I'm not enthralled with his performance. There's just something lacking. Part of me was really hoping that, since this is his first WrestleMania, he's debuting with his dad. I was really hoping, because in Lucha Libre tradition, you earn your mask. And so I was kind of hoping oh man, we're going to have the crowning, the masking of Dominic. Because I think a mask would go a long ways, because he's just, like you said, got that goofy baby face thing he just always looks happy out there. And it makes him lack that killer instinct, as you so well said. So I just wanted to know your input on it. I like the kid. I'm not dogging him. It's weird watching him in the ring. There's just something off about it.
Yeah, it's just I don't think the dynamic of the Mysterios is really captured. The magic of it, I think, is lost now. I know they've been teaming for a little while. I just feel like, especially the way it is now, they're just there. And if you want to they've had storylines, got the rug pulled out from them, and I know that was the stuff with Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy, who's now on AEW now after being released, and the whole Seth Rollins storyline. They had some steam with that stuff, but I think without some sort of edge to what's going on in any storyline they're in, at this point in time, they've become a stale act, unfortunately. And I think you really needed that turn. And the turn could have came out of nowhere, but I think that sometimes that type of surprise shock, and that's what I was hoping for in this, but it didn't happen. You kind of need that. Because I feel like even though it would have been expected before, this would have been the time to kind of just jar people a little bit. And if this match could have told that story, that would have had a better. People would have been talking about this match instead of just the Miz's random turn on Logan Paul and him cursing him out. And I think he said "F you, Miz" 2 times, whatever, in his post WrestleMania speech online or whatever, and I think it would have generated a lot more buzz to have Dominic turn on his dad.
Yeah, I think what should have happened was everything should have went down. Miz shouldn't have betrayed Logan Paul. They should have picked up the victory, left together, and then Rey Mysterio should have been holding the mask, even though we didn't win, here's your mask, son. You've earned it. There's your first WrestleMania. Dominick freaking boom out of nowhere takes the mask and then takes his dad out. Like, that would have been huge, right? How disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, that would have been awesome. But didn't happen.
Yeah, that would have been a story that they could have teased going into it with this match, and had the mask like he was like a crowning moment for him, and then taken away, and then he blames his dad for it. That would have been great. I agree. 100% agree. So we come to one of the best matches on the WrestleMania card, the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair challenged the champion going in, Becky Lynch. And, Rock, I know you were on the fence on this one, but everybody else I talked to, very happy with the fast-paced nature of this match. And Bianca pulls out the victory. Now, 2 WrestleManias in a row, she's won both women's championships.
So, yeah, this match was one of the better this was one of the best matches on both nights, hands down. These 2 girls tore the house down. It was really fast paced. They both had the really cool entrances. Becky's entrance was, I don't understand the Escalade. Like, she's like, what sense did that make? Like, big time Bex, okay, but like, why an Escalade? I didn't really understand that. Like, is she trying to be Alberto Del Rio again? Or that was kind of weird. Her freaking WrestleMania gear was badass, though. That was really cool. And then, of course, Bianca having the whole freaking band and the drum line and incredible entrances, start to finish. What an awesome match. Still, though, just like we talked about in the last show, I'm not 100% sold on Bianca. Like, I knew that she was going to win. It didn't make any sense. Like, that's literally what they've been building up to since SummerSlam. But there's just something about her that's just lacking. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't know. There's something about her that I just think she's missing something, and I'm not entirely sold on her. But Becky really carried her. To me, it looked like she carried most of the match. There was a point in time when I could tell that Bex was gassed hard, though, and Bianca had to pick it up a little bit towards the end. But overall, this match was incredible. Way to go, ladies! Probably match of the. Probably match of the night, honestly.
The night or the whole weekend?
I don't know about the whole weekend, but it was probably the match of the night.
You mean to rewind what you said? You said probably the match of the whole thing.
Oh,
why are you changing your tone? Huh? Can't trust you.
Rewind.
I don't know if I can trust you. Nope, can't trust you. Can't trust The Rock. Let's go back to his prediction about The Rock and the Roman Reigns and what'd you say? Roman Reigns main event.
WrestleMania 39. Yep. Rock and Reigns.
Can't believe him, folks. Don't take that off the card.
Gives this match 2 horns.
I like that too.
I think. I'm still on the opposite end with you on this one, Rock. I think Bianca just looks like a star. Her gear, her entrance, everything. I think for her sake, she had to have this win. I thought because of the hair cutting deal, that she got the upper hand on her right before the match. I thought that might have been something they were going to change because we were discussing both beforehand. Both championships probably unlikely to change hands, and we'll talk about that next one here a couple matches later. But for her story's purposes, she needed this revenge win, but retribution type of win here for that SummerSlam loss, and she did. She got it, and it's up to her too to carry the interest, after winning the championship, because she's been very good on the chase, both against Sasha and here. And maybe that's, in your defense, maybe that's what WWE also needs to pick up too, is keeping the interest of her versus whoever now is going to challenge her for the championship. And that's going to be the tell-all. Can she ascend to that and evolve her character to the next level by keeping the interest of the fans while defending the title? Because the chase, the babyface, obviously is going to get a lot of just momentum from that. But keeping it and keeping the interest of the fans, that's going to be that's a whole new test, as you well know, being a veteran of the square circle.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, I mean, I wish her nothing but the best, and let's see her bring it. She is the new women's champion. So congratulations to her, and let's see what she can do with it. Hopefully, not another 30-second loss.
No, yeah, definitely can't afford that for sure. Now, this is what I believe this next match is the true match of the weekend for me personally. I felt the hype was huge. Who was going to face Seth Rollins for the mystery opponent? Mr. McMahon had designated to face Seth freaking Rollins, who was in his own storyline, main eventing a few Raws leading up to this match, and it delivered the goods as far as I'm concerned. It was the worst kept secret in wrestling with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes returning, and he did indeed return. He cut the lights to tease a little bit like it could have been Undertaker, but complete with his team since leaving the last time WWE and AEW and all the splendor and everything. I was very impressed that very emotional return for Cody Rhodes, and him versus Seth delivered the goods, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to take anything away from what you said, because I was honestly shocked. Like even reading David Meltzer's predictions, like he was like, yeah, Cody Rhodes is going to be there. Cody Rhodes is going to be there. And then it was like it's almost like he was on the payroll too, because it was like the day before he makes a tweet that's like, oh, well, people in Cody's camp are saying he might back out now. And it's like, dude, you can't do that. You said he's going to be there. Like, how can he back out? Which obviously didn't happen. And thankfully, because I thought, I'm with you. It was the coolest thing in the world to hear his AEW song from the start, like no edits, no changes. The AEW entrance where he comes out like godlike out of the freaking stage. Dude, it was awesome. And it was such an emotional moment. Like coming from AEW, where the fans were consistently booing him, and for no reason at all, booing him. He's working his ass off, one of the hardest workers out there. And then coming to WWE and just getting this huge pop. It wasn't a Steve Austin level pop, but it was still huge. That was really, really cool to see. And of course, those two tore the house down, as if there's going to be any question about it. I mean, you have two of the best workers right now in the business. Amazing match. This was a real feel-good moment for sure. And welcome back, Cody Rhodes. I really hope that I'm wrong on this. I hope that Cody keeps this momentum. I hope he gets his world title shot. I hope he gets his world title run, I should say, not just a shot. Yeah. Because I am deathly afraid that come SummerSlam this year, Cody is going to be mid-carding it, or even worse, pre-showing it with some random tag person. I hope that's not the case, but the past has told me that that's what's going to happen. So hopefully that's not correct. Way to go, Cody. What an awesome match.
So the rumors about Rollins turning babyface, what are your thoughts on that?
Rollins going babyface, you know what? I actually welcome that, and I would hope that he would, because this whole weird Joker laugh gimmick thing he's doing, just, I don't know. It's not getting over with me. It's kind of annoying, to be honest with you. There you go. That was actually pretty damn good. Yeah. I'm not digging this new version of Rollins. Like the weird suits and the stupid laugh. Like I don't get it. Not feeling it. So I would actually welcome a babyface turn for Rollins.
Yeah, I think if it sets him up for his run against Roman, which possibly could be SummerSlam, I think that's probably the right move at this point. Because I'm with you. From all his Monday Night Messiah to the drip, what is he calling himself? The drip god or whatever, so to speak. I think it's a turn back to the badass Seth freaking Rollins is definitely, I think, what we would like to see, I think, moving forward. Because, I mean, how many more losses can he take as a heel, too? You know?
Exactly. And the whole Kevin Owens and him friendship thing is obviously fizzled out. So,
I think all interviews I highly suggest the one with Ariel Helwani and any type of interviews Cody's been doing. Is just he's been always so captivating in his either shoot interviews you want to call it or just pulling the curtain back. Everything it's just refreshing to see him. And I believe he definitely made the right choice. He claims and repeats it was just time. There was no bad blood. I mean, there was obviously something that maybe wasn't there. Maybe he took himself out of the title hunt and he shouldn't have with AEW, or maybe he just, as he said in the interviews, that maybe he just not cut out to be an EVP, whatever. But this is definitely, for him, feels like the right choice. And, yeah, if they sold him a bill of goods saying you're going to be honoring your dad and we want to push you as this returning superstar that's going to do it for, get this championship win, for your dad, and, we want you to basically come back under those circumstances. They wanted his version, just like he was performing AEW, and they didn't want to change a thing. He said Vince himself flew down along with Bruce Pritchard and Tony Khan, and they sold him on returning, and he said it just felt right. And I felt like even down to the jabs and the dusty elbow he gave Seth during the match, everything, the crowd ate it up. And to piggyback on what you said, at this point in time, I'm just not a huge fan of the AEW fan base that basically, I don't know if you want to call them the smarks or whatever. I feel like they're really hurting the AEW product in some ways. And as we've talked about before on the shows, we need more storytellers, more characters. And I believe when you're booing somebody like Cody Rhodes, who's natural baby face and everything, and he said he didn't mind a polarizing reaction. He was preparing for it, but damn, did the crowd embrace him as a huge baby face in WrestleMania, and it was just epic return. Yeah. I felt like it was definitely the WrestleMania moment for sure that he needed, he wanted, and for me, I was just incredible. I felt like and I hope, like you were saying, for his sake, that this momentum continues. And yeah, even if it takes a while to eventually challenge, no matter who it is, if it's still Roman, he's going to have both belts forever or whatever. At some point in time, if you want to invest this much money to steal, so to speak, Cody Rhodes away from AEW, I think hopefully Vince can say, hey, he was a homegrown talent. Now he's back. He's getting a monster reaction. That's on WWE if they blow this, because right now he returned bigger than I pictured too. Because at first I thought, oh hey, he could team with his wife against the Miz. This return proved me wrong too, because I think perception becomes reality, and now you have a gigantic star. You could still say he's homegrown WWE because that's where he started. Push him like he deserves now. That's on WWE now.
100%. And just real quick to touch base on the AEW fan base, like Cody worked his ass off. He put on the style of matches that AEW fans wanted to see, and they still booed him. The man went through, pardon my language, a fucking flaming table, which is completely unnecessary, and they still booed him. Like, screw those fans. That's bullshit to me. But Cody did everything for them, so you know what? I think he made the right call. It's good that he's home. It's good he's back.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. All right, we got a couple more matches or encounters left on day one, WrestleMania Saturday. This one I was a little disappointed in. This, and maybe a lot of other people were too. The SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair defeats Ronda Rousey. What's your thoughts on that?
The match, you basically already said it. It was disappointing, and I think a lot of it came from Ronda Rousey's poor attitude. I read some rumors that may actually make a lot of sense, and they probably were legit, that during the Hall of Fame ceremony, Ronda was told that she was not going to be the last match on the card, that she was not going to be the true main event, which when you have Steve Austin on the card, I'm sorry, you're not, no one's topping Steve Austin. Hulk Hogan's not topping Steve Austin, so for her to have that kind of ego and even think that she was going to be a main event and then get so upset that she wasn't and stormed out, like, just what a poor attitude to have, and I think that poor attitude carried into the match, and just, the match just wasn't great, and I'm glad that Charlotte Flair won. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, once Bianca won, I think at that point, then you get you wondering and say, hey, it's probably unlikely both women's championships change hands, but it's just kind of a weird way to take Ronda then, because apparently she's full-time until the next year's WrestleMania. Like, okay, now you have both her and Becky lose. Well, what's the angle then? If they're going to do Becky versus Ronda one last time, it just kind of doesn't feel like a big deal anymore now after this match.
Yeah, I can see that. It's, I don't know. I'm not really sold on Ronda Rousey, to be honest with you. Her matches are okay, but yeah, I don't know. I think that she doesn't really have the right attitude for this business, and yeah, I think it was the right decision for Charlotte to win. So,
I mean, honestly, when I think about Ronda Rousey, though, I just think that it never makes me believe she's a wrestler.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
She doesn't fit the mold of like the Ken Shamrocks and the Tank Abbotts and them trying to incorporate the UFC into WWE. She doesn't carry that character to me of what you would want to see on Monday nights and Thursday nights and then pay-per-views. It's just she just has bad acting, in my opinion, and doesn't make me believe.
I actually agree with that 100%. Like, I don't believe, like, because she was like so unstoppable in the UFC, but when she comes over to WWE, she just doesn't carry that same kind of momentum. Like when Brock Lesnar came in after his UFC run, he still had that absolute dominance, and she just doesn't have that.
It's the character. You don't believe the character. I mean, even Rock trying to put her over and trying to make everybody buy in that she's going to come in and be the Mike Tyson when they tried to bring Mike Tyson on, and it didn't sell. It didn't sell you to say, "Oh, I can believe this." It just looked it looked phony, and it doesn't look like. And nothing against her as a character trying to be a wrestler. I mean, she is a good fighter, and she has that demeanor of like a badass. But you gotta sell it to me on a through the TV show that you're on. You got to make me believe. Like even her as an actress is just not great either.
Right. I think honestly, like her music kind of throws me off too. Like her music doesn't really go with her gimmick and the whole like Roddy Piper thing. Yeah, what is he trying to be? It just doesn't make any sense.
Again, they're trying to find a way to get you guys who are wrestling fanatics, like diehard wrestling fans, to buy into something, and it's just not working because her ability to sell herself to you as a fan is the problem. It's not WWE's they don't have the writers to do it. She doesn't have that pop. Doesn't make you believe. Like when you saw Ken Shamrock, I remember when Ken Shamrock came on, you were like, "What? This fucker, dude? He's like a UFC guy. He's not." But man, that dude sold his character to you as an audience to where you believe he was just an asshole. You know? Yeah. And you're like, he is an asshole because he's an asshole in real life. But her character, when I first saw her, and she was in there with The Rock, and they were trying to sell it, it just never made me believe that she could be anything other than Ronda Rousey from UFC. And I mean, you got to give Brock Lesnar credit. At least he started working on his character. Because even when he first started, it was like, nah, he's just some big monster that comes in. Paul Heyman's Paul Heyman's the voice for him. He just runs in and beats the fuck out of people. But now he understands that he's got to sell himself as a character, and for you to believe him. And then you see him now, it's like he's matured. He's embraced it. He's taken it on, and now he makes you guys believe that he is who he is in the WWE world. And I just don't think he'll ever go back. He'll ever go back to UFC, because I just don't. It'll kind of split it up, right? It'll kind of separate.
Too old, I think, at this point.
It'll separate his character to the real life, and it's like even when Ken Shamrock went back to fighting, you just remember him now. It's like, nah, dude, you're Ken Shamrock from WWE. So it just changes. I think that it's acting. And they're on there and they're playing a character, and I think she just doesn't have it. She just doesn't have that ability to do that.
I think the Ronda thing, and you probably are noticing that, Coach JC, that they had to renegotiate to bring her back. I think there were sour grapes at the end of her last run where she went to go have the baby. At that point, she was getting booed, which she probably didn't expect, because she was used to that cheering at first. And part of it is WWE's handling. They didn't know how to get out of that situation. They had developed this kind of anti-hero in Becky Lynch. And at that point, Ronda was now, maybe similar to what, the Cody experience, that she could not do anything right in the WWE fans' eyes. And I believe she wanted to come back and be the heel, but Vince wanted her to be the baby face, because Vince, you could tell there was some sort of disconnect, like she didn't know what to do. And then I think in one interview I listened, she said Vince was telling her, you need to smile, you need to you need to portray that character that I need you to portray, which is the baby face, because it feels like maybe she wanted to do her own thing and say fuck you WWE fans.
It's not her though,
and whatnot. And
it's not her.
But she's talking very quiet. She's not, there's no fire or passion in those promos that she's doing, and I swear it's like you're not getting. Maybe she doesn't really want to be back, and she has to do this commitment. And she's got one more year now. It was a year and a half they renegotiated to get her back. And I just feel like, especially after the result of this match, well, how are you going to get your money's worth now? If you're building towards Becky Lynch and her one last grudge match at WrestleMania. You had both of them lose the previous year. Like, okay, now you're in a hole to build them both back up for this epic match and outs. And yeah, maybe they feel the same way. Maybe they feel like this isn't going to be a headliner of one of the nights of WrestleMania 39 now. But I don't know. There's a long way to go before next year. But yeah, I think like you're saying, like, definitely something's got to light a fire under Ronda. Otherwise, it's really not going to be the bigger match that it could have been. No. Say the singles match happened a year later after last WrestleMania, and I know the pandemic and everything changed all the plans maybe there too, but you definitely got some work to do if you're WWE to garner what should have been easily have been a match that that should have already happened. But according to Ronda, according to the rumors, Ronda's basically writing her own ticket here. Like, she had the upper hand in the negotiations. I believe it was Stephanie and Shane flew out there to meet her, and they got her to return. But I don't know. I felt like maybe they didn't really.
And that could be the problem right there, is if they're really getting all their way to bring her back. You're just not getting the commitment you want. So
no.
All right. What's the last match?
She doesn't really want to be back. Well, to go back, there was the KO show, and then the returning Stone, which led their banter, which didn't last too long, ended up leading to the much anticipated headline of day one, and WrestleMania Saturday, and that was Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens in a street fight, basically around the whole stadium. Rock, I'll let you give your insight on this one.
And Rock, you've done one of those kind of events, so pretty cool.
I have, and oh my gosh, I just want to first start by saying congratulations to Kevin Owens for main eventing WrestleMania. I've been a huge fan of Kevin Owens' work for a very long time. I feel like it's way overdue. I feel like his Universal title run was cut way too short, and WWE dropped the ball with him many times. But look at him now. He literally got to main event WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not a lot of people can say that. Kudos to Kevin Owens. I'm so happy that he got his time. With that being said, again, like everybody, how awesome was it to see Stone Cold Steve Austin? I mean, he looked great. He didn't have the big old beer belly that he had the last time they were in Dallas. He actually looked like he was in decent shape. He wrestled, what was it, like a solid 15 or 17 minutes? I mean, that's pretty good for a 57-year-old man. They went, I mean, it wasn't technically sound, nor should it have been. I mean, the last 4 years of Steve Austin's in-ring career was more or less just that brawler status, but he doesn't need to go out there and do anything. This is what I keep telling my trainees. You don't have to go out there and do all these moves to get over with the fans. You have to tell the story, and that's exactly what Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens did. They told a story out there, and they didn't do crap. I think there was 5 bumps total in the whole match, and kudos again to Steve Austin for being a 57-year-old man and taking a suplex out on the concrete. Holy shit, that was I did not see that happening. And again, he didn't have to do that.
That was tough, cringing at that one. But yeah, give Stone Cold some credit. He didn't play around there. He was there prepared to do the brawl. I think there's only a couple instances, where you're saying, maybe some of the stomps or the Irish whip into the rail. But overall, he's been gone for 19 years, and he pulls out a classic Stone Cold brawl that, like you were saying, Rock, was his trademark in the later parts of his career. I mean, what else? Crowd's going crazy. Crowd ate it up, and
hello? Uh-oh. Oh, no. My phone died. Oh, no.
okay.
All right, go ahead.
And Stone Cold definitely jumped right into the fray with this, and I think it was just another great return for Stone Cold. Really, I mean, this gave the crowd the send home that they craved, and just incredible match, incredible return for Stone Cold.
Do you think he was training for this? Do you think this whole thing was a big plan to get back in the ring?
He was definitely training for this. There was a lot of rumors flying around the dirt sheets that, WWE's delivered a ring to Steve Austin's ranch and da-da-da-da-da. And I think there was even some leaked photos of him of him without his shirt and just getting back into good shape. So he was definitely training. He trained his ass off for this. He didn't look blown up once. And he wrestled, like I said, a solid 17-minute match. So Steve Austin definitely trained hard for this match. And it showed.
So what do you think? What's the angle here, though, guys? What do you think he's doing? Trying to sell more beer? What do you think he's trying to do?
I think this is it. I think he wanted that last final. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I didn't get the send off that I really wanted, losing to The Rock at WrestleMania 19, and I think that this was the true send off farewell that he wanted. So that's my 2 cents on it.
I don't know about that. What I've been hearing is that he's missing out on those Saudi paydays, which could be up to $5 million for one match paydays, kind of what Goldberg's been getting. And I think this was kind of a teaser. And even though it seems like, hey, it's a great bookend, he started in Dallas, he'll end in Dallas. how are you going to pass up these $5 million paydays if you could do matches just like he did every time in front of a gigantic Saudi stadium crowd, almost like their own type of WrestleManias multiple times a year? I think if you provide the matchup that's ideal for Stone Cold, I think you'll see him return at these Saudi shows. I don't think this is it.
Why?
What?
Why would you ever turn down a $5 million payday?
There you go.
To go wrestle one match.
The end.
And that's
I don't think this is the end.
And that's it. We just don't know if this is
happen.
the end, but this is the end of day one WrestleMania recap with The Rock and MC. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel under the Shockwave Writers at MC Brown.
It's the MC Brown channel with the playlist for all of our previous episodes as well, and our future ones as well when we come back for part 2.
All right. Well, Rock, you're going to hang with us for part 2. We're going to wrap this one up. We've been talking for an hour of wrestling, and of course, hanging out with The Rock from SCW. We'll get his recap the next time under Channel 1. Make sure you subscribe and listen to the next one, recapping Day 2 of WrestleMania.